And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trade routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Market Recap. Tuesday, March the 18th. I'm John Hoagland. Thanks again for trusting me with your time. Hope you had a good trading day. I know there's some interesting opportunities and some things going on. Let me get a couple of things set up here for us before we start looking at the charts. As far as news is concerned, the president had a speech today and finally has banned the purchase of Russian oil. A little bit late, it seems. A lot of U.S. firms had ceased purchasing crude oil from Russia prior to this. The president has also blamed the higher prices of crude and gasoline on the Russian-Ukraine war. White House says they believe that the impact of the oil ban will not be long-term, much like they probably said about inflation being transitory. The U.S. equity futures have failed to eke out a winning day after the worst day since 2020 today. Just kind of looking at what the markets did, my little notes here. Crude oil comes off the highs after Biden's speech. Another episode of Buy the Rumor, Sell the News here on As the Markets Turn. The E-mini S&P and the Nasdaq split the end of the day today. Weekly kickoff high, low, I should say. ES holding above it at least until the very end there, maybe. And the Nasdaq ended up closing down below that weekly kickoff level. Gold, the healthy upside auction. We talked about it this morning. No gap fill, higher close, really big upside push at one point in the day. Goes to show you how important it is to be focused and ready for the opportunities. I looked away for just a couple of minutes and I missed my opportunity to get that big breakout to the upside at one point today. Missed my opportunity. It's okay. There'll be another one. The euro price supported by a weekly kickoff low. Again, the 10-year lack of the gap fill pushes price to test the weekly kickoff low, and the natural gas no gap fill just seems to want to go clean up some unfinished business. We took out a couple of unrechecked naked points of control, volume points of control today. No big moves, although the price does get closer to weekly kickoff low. Good afternoon, everyone. Joseph, it's good to see you. Bill, Tachyon, hello. Vince, good afternoon. Dan, back to the opening ranges around 2:30. Market is waiting for more information. Maybe you're right. And looks like next week we may be getting some more information. Nasdaq failed at yesterday's VWAP. No huge surprise. Downtrend continues. It was a valiant effort to try and close those markets early today. However, unsuccessful. Alessandro, good afternoon to you. Sean, yeah, sure, Papa Biden, right? Tachyon, very volatile. Lost 2 trades just because of volatility. Still a good day, up to 700. That's a great day. Nice job, Tachyon. Every day up money is a good day. Got to make sure we are trading for tomorrow. Joseph, good afternoon. Past the combine, second day. Let's go. Nice job. Level 2. Oh my goodness. Good to see you. Yeah, you got a little gray in the beard, huh? I haven't seen you for a while. I guess you haven't seen the beard yet. Yeah, maybe I'm getting old, son. Maybe. Junior Trader 99. Good afternoon to you. You're a little tickle here. Sorry, I'm going to drink some water. All right. So, we've got the group coaching tomorrow. Here's the link to register. And we've got Make Hogue Money. Excuse me. I am sorry. Make Hogue Money on Thursday, right after the forecast. Level 2, if you haven't heard about that, we get together just after the forecast on Thursdays, and we talk about what the S&Ps are doing. We think about taking trades. You guys, whoever's in there, I let 4 or 5 people actually speak. We talk about the trades. You let me know what we think. We vote on it. We take the trades. We started it last Thursday. We ended up making about $150. I padded the account after that a little bit. We've got about $1,000 in the account. It's a 150K combine. And if we succeed in it, we'll go live. So far, we're just trading in sim. But if we succeed in this trading combine, we'll go live. What do you think? Sounds like fun. Yeah, this volatility can rip you up in these markets. That is absolutely sure. Trading my personal account, it's been pretty good 2 weeks. Good, I'm glad to hear that. Frederico, good afternoon. Amir, Mr. Presto. Yeah, we'll have some fun. What else do we got here? Okay, so those 2 links. Group coaching, the first one. Make Hogue Money, the second one. What do we do in the markets today? What happened? What are we thinking? What are we seeing? Let's take a look. All right. I'm going to get my notes out from this morning so that I see what we talked about and see what happened. So here we go. This is the daily in crude oil. Noticing that the auction was struggling at this point, we brought in some new buyers, and we've brought this market higher. Did we really bring in new buyers? We're coming into rollover, and this may be part of this, but we've been losing open interest all the way up. That's not very healthy for a continuation of an auction process. Today, the news comes out that we're finally going to have an embargo on Russian crude oil, and the price drops. Buy the rumor, sell the news. I guess that news was already in the marketplace, wasn't it? Here's the 30-minute. So we have a gap. We leave the gap. We hang around up here waiting for the information. The president talks about the embargo going into place. It starts as early as today, and the price drops. We close the gap. We trade through weekly kickoff high. We end up closing above weekly kickoff high. But I still have this nagging feeling that without some more bad news, the auction isn't doing that well to the upside. We're going to see what open interest looks like tomorrow morning. Yesterday, we lost 23,000 total in open interest. More than that, we lost, about 35,000 in the front month alone. So the next 3 months added 12,000 in open interest. But is this a good day to be adding open interest? If we did, it might be to the long side. Again, being, coming into rollover, it makes all of this a little bit blurry. Let's take a look at the E-mini S&Ps now. Here's the daily downside structure, largely intact. Looks like we did close below the weekly kickoff low here. And so both of them, the Nasdaq and the S&Ps, look like they've closed below. We added a whole bunch of open interest on the way down yesterday. That's encouraging for the continuation of this downside auction. Decent volume, pretty high volume in New York. The market telling us volume increasing, open interest increasing, direction likely to continue. New money to the short side yesterday. What do we do today? We tried to take all of that back, but we were very unsuccessful in doing so. Selling rallies is the way to go. We had basically a dead cat bounce this morning. We tried to recover. We were unable to. Take a look at the 30-minute chart here. So here's our open. Tried to look higher, looked lower, consolidated around the weekly kickoff level, found some buyers, tried to take out basically all of the range from yesterday, and this range, one of the biggest down days we've had in almost 2 years. Opening below, well, we opened kind of in the late spike that we talked about this morning. We tried to get above it. We failed to do so. The push to the downside continued. We recovered quite a bit. We took out the high of that late spike, but we weren't able to maintain price above that late spike by the end of the day. The market continuing its push to the downside. It's the auction to the downside is looking relatively healthy after adding 53,000 in open interest yesterday. Don't forget, we are in rollover. Next Tuesday, we'll be rolling over. That's where it's scheduled. Never seen it on Tuesday before. We'll be watching the volume to know when the right time to change to the June contract will be. Let's take a look now at the Nasdaq. Start with the daily. Nasdaq didn't pull nearly as far back into yesterday's range. Open lower, looked above weekly kickoff, rejection, 30-minute chart. We did add open interest on the downside yesterday of 3,800 contracts. Here the market opens below the weekly, but below the late spike. We test up to the high of the late spike. We look lower. We try and finish the value area special situation play today. We were unable to do so here in the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq opened with a slight gap, so that gives us that value area special situation play. The fact that it did not play out today is important information. Let's not forget, what doesn't happen is equally, if not sometimes even more important as to what does happen. The inability to close out the value area special situation play, there's an inherent weakness in this market. The vast majority of the range was below weekly kickoff low. This market continues to present as weaker than our S&Ps. Again, we'll see what the market looks like tomorrow morning. We're pretty consistently moving value lower, and acceptance below this level, second day in a row closing down there, even closing lower today. Are we going to be enticing sellers as value continues to move lower, or are we going to start to cut off volume? Don't forget, we are in rollover. It gets so tiring to say that sometimes. I hate rollovers. Very difficult days to trade. Then crude oil this morning. We have been seeing volume doing pretty well here, especially lately. We're seeing an increase in volume. We've been seeing an increase in volume over time. Starting down here, we started to see open interest begin to increase, and we still see open interest increasing, an estimated 19,000 yesterday. We were looking for a continuation of an upside move above weekly kickoff high. We certainly got it today. Look at this 30-minute chart. Opening with a gap. Virtually no attempt to close the gap. The very minute we took out the overnight high from last night, we never saw heat again until we put in the highs here. We had a pretty substantial pullback, but yet still we've got value moving higher, no gap fill. If we added a bunch of open interest again Today, then the market is still signifying a healthy upside auction. More volume, more volume, more volume, more volume, overall volume increasing at higher pricing. It's healthy for the upside. I think one of the big banks today mentioned they firmly believe that $3,000 on an ounce gold is possible. We know anything is possible. Anything is possible. To the euro, not a very exciting trade today, except for the fact that when we opened, we traded right to weekly kickoff low. It's been magnetic. Maybe we're finding now that it's going to repel price either higher or an acceptance again below, perhaps lower. Really sweet direct hit on weekly kickoff low for the euro today. The 10-year, here's the daily. We've been very finite extremes on this area of balance. Rates ticked up overnight, price moving lower. We lost 33,000 off the weekly kickoff high yesterday. Now we've come down and tested the weekly kickoff low. We're range bound here, ladies and gentlemen. And when there's a range bound activity, we try and focus on those extremes. Well, our extremes so far this week are weekly kickoff low and weekly kickoff high. Anything in the middle, we may find that short time frame levels are likely to hold, but make sure you have reasonable profit targets. If we break out below and find acceptance below this area of balance, that's a go with type of situation. So is it. If we were to break out above the high of this area of balance, that's a go with it situation. But until that happens, we're fading the extremes, buying near the lows, selling near the highs. Why? Because we like to. No, because it lets us limit our risk. Anything in the middle, more of a random walk. So this is the net gas, not going to get tricked by that again. Here's the 10-year, opening with a gap, one small attempt to close the gap today, finishing or checking back to a naked point of control here, finding range-bound activity with a little bit of a look down towards weekly kickoff low. We have to see what the open interest does after losing 33,000 yesterday. We're already past rollover in the treasuries. We can start to look at open interest and volume with a little bit more trust, if you will. To the nat gas. And our rejection of weekly kickoff high, a bearish piercing pattern, adding 5,300 to open interest off that high. We see continuation to the downside today. Here's the 30. Opening, we traded up to a naked point of control, still unable to close that gap. And we traded back down to this naked point of control in the regular trading hours. We just finished and repaired a little bit of the area of these profiles that needed some repair. Probably not expecting to see a huge jump in open interest tomorrow from today's session, but it would be interesting to find out. If I had to, I'd say we're going to increase open interest after we put in this high and ground this market lower. Overnight inventory, we got a good push. Unable to close the gap or bring the price back down to settlement is another one of those situations where we think, we had an overnight inventory adjustment, but it didn't get to where we thought it might. What doesn't happen is equally as important as what does. So ocean blue. Okay, if futures is buy-sell contracts, How do we get new open interest? New open interest is created if I don't have a position, Ocean, and you don't have a position. If I buy one and you sell it to me, making me long and you short, that creates a contract. Now, there's one of two things that can happen from here. If you buy yours from somebody else who is assuming your short position, in other words, you're short, you buy it from somebody who has no position but is now short, that just transfers the risk, and there's no change in open interest. But if you're short that one lot and you buy that from somebody who's currently long one, you're evaporating one contract. So open interest is the total number of longs or shorts, not both, because it takes two parties to create a contract. Contract has to have two parties, a beginning and an end. You sell it to somebody who's buying it. They're both new positions. That creates that contract. Yes. Yes. And I do collect that information for the contracts that I trade. And I collect all the total of all the contract months to gauge how much open interest is added or removed from a contract in time. So level 2 is right. There's no fixed number of contracts in the market. Contracts can be created or removed. If there is no counterparty for a buy or sell during rolls, the contract is either, well, you can move forward. So a lot of rollover is traders taking their position from the current front month and then rotating it to a future month. Okay? All right. Thanks for all the help. So tomorrow, our focus is going to be largely on the job openings labor turnover survey that comes out tomorrow at 9 Central. Not a wildly impactful number. And then the EIA petroleum status report at 9:30. Thursday is really the biggie this week. We got CPI numbers and jobless claims both at 7:30. So as far as important economic information, we're kind of hurting this week. But don't worry. There's plenty of it for us for next week. We have the FOMC meeting next week and a lot of other things going on. So a lot of traders, now that we are in rollover in our currencies, in our equities, and in crude oil, and coming into the rollover in natural gas, that's a lot of products that are going into rollover, including everything next week. We've got what the industry experts would call a S show next week. It's going to be another challenging and interesting week. Yeah, the London Metals Exchange canceling trades in the nickel. That is a mess. That is a mess. I don't think that I have seen the CME group do that ever. Maybe there were some trades taken out when crude oil went negative to about negative $40. That was a year ago last May, 2 years ago last May expiration. That was when we had so much crude we didn't have any place to store it. We go back to those days. All right. That's going to be it. Looking forward to another challenging trading day for us tomorrow, Wednesday. Let's see. We've got the forecast. We've got group coaching and the recap tomorrow. Forecast make money on Thursday, and the recap, and then it's going to be Friday before we know it. Before we know it, it's going to be spring. Looking forward to that. Yeah. Have you ever seen the Fed president give you a particular hike before a meeting? Yes. Oh, we didn't do on this day. Yeah, we'll do that. There was a surprise rate cut, I think, between meetings, and that is a possibility this time. Let's look at this day in history. Get this, Russia on March 8th, 1917, the revolution in Russia started to end the czarist rule in Russia. There was food scarcity, and the revolution began on this day in 1917. 2014, this was very strange. The Malaysian airline flight vanishes with more than 200 people on board. 1957, Egypt opens the Suez Canal. 1971, Muhammad Ali fights Frazier in the fight of the century for the heavyweight championship. And down goes Frazier. 1983, Reagan refers to the USSR as an evil empire again. Who knew how right he was? 1993, Beavis and Butthead premiered on MTV today. 1669, Mount Etna begins rumbling. Several eruptions over the next few weeks killed more than 20,000 people and left thousands more homeless. 1950, on this date, the VW bus, the icon of counterculture movement, goes into production. I actually went to a Grateful Dead concert in a VW bus. That's how old I am. All right, this day in music. Mickey Dolenz, the drummer and really the major singer of the Monkees, was born on this day in 1945. Randy Meisner, guitarist from the group Poco, who later joined the Eagles, was born on this day in 1946. In 1968, today was the first of two nights at Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco, California, for the band Cream. Concert was recorded with some tracks ending up on their Wheels of Fire double album. In 2003, Mark Knopfler, if you know Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits, was injured when a Honda motorbike he was riding was involved in a collision with a Fiat Punto Gar. The 53-year-old singer and guitarist suffered a broken collarbone and 6 broken ribs in an accident, which happened in London. At least he didn't break any fingers. 2009. The Who, a blue plaque honored the Who drummer Keith Moon. In honor of Keith Moon, was unveiled on the site of the Marquee Club in Soho, London, where in 1964, that was a good year, the band played the first of 29 gigs there. Fans on scooters turned up to pay tribute to Moon, who was 32 when he died of an accidental overdose in 1978. That's it. Thanks. I forgot about that. Okay. So, yeah, VW made... Okay. I got to remember your sense of humor a level too. Can we change Make Hogue Money to Wednesdays? Okay. Right now we've got it on Thursdays. We may actually be adding days if it's a popular thing. So we'll keep that feedback and suggestion in mind. Yeah, we got to make me money. Was it level 2 said, are we gonna give the money to Lacey? Lacey doesn't need money. She gets a lot of love here. Yeah, Dan Emmons, 1922 started Soviet USSR. Here we are repeating history in 2022. 100 years. Oh my goodness. Hogue, that video where you tried to make a joke to those guys on the floor about the day Jerry died. I don't remember that joke. I don't know. I have to remember. I don't think I would have made it about Jerry. I love Jerry. International Women's Day. Is that today? Dan, my pleasure. Thank you for joining. All right, well, that's going to be it. Have a good evening. Get rested. Be ready. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. And be ready for tomorrow. Should be another challenging day. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the morning, 7:45 for the report.